Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at something very, very special. Hasbro has combined their awesome lines of Transformers and G.I. Joe to bring us a very awesome two-pack. You have the evil Decepticon Megatron in his new transform as a Cobra H.I.S. tank, and to keep him company, they have thrown in the Baroness, and this is really cool. I love when they do crossovers or they combine two franchises into one awesome packaging, because when they do that, the fans always win. Alright, so taking a look at this box, it is huge. It is covering almost the entirety of my review station. On the left side, you have the awesome Transformers presentation of the evil Megatron. You have the purple Decepticon logo of the Transformers. You have Megatron looking all grrr. You have 8 Plus Hasbro Decepticon Megatron H.I.S. tank. And on the right side of the box, you have the G.I. Joe portion, which you see the H.I.S. tank, you see Baroness, and you see G.I. Joe here. Now this would be Baroness if it was made back in the 80s and you could actually put plastic in the box and you could actually see the figure in there, but that is just a picture and it has her name Baroness, so we will get to her inside the box. On the top of the box, we will bring it down. You have the awesome graph of the classic Transformers. You have Megatron there in his robot mode, Megatron in the H.I.S. tank mode with Baroness standing by his side, and on this side you have Megatron H.I.S. tank G.I. Joe Hasbro, and on the other side of the box, it's kind of big, so we're going to have to move it around very carefully. You have the Megatron H.I.S. tank there with Baroness and G.I. Joe Hasbro. On the bottom of the box, you have the awesome crossover event with G.I. Joe and Autobot Symbol 2022 Transformers Collaborative. More than meets the eye. Wow, this thing came out last year. I've been slow getting this review out, I guess. Then you have some credits for the box and a barcode. Next, on the other side of the box, you have more of a Decepticon layout. Get some light. You have the Transformers, more than meets the eye, Megatron in his robot mode, Megatron in his tank mode, and Decepticon Megatron H.I.S. tank. So this is more like the Transformer packaging. And finally, we will come to the back of the box and we will see some awesome product shots. On the left side of the box, we have G.I. Joe, you have Baroness in the cockpit of the H.I.S. tank. You have credits for the box, transforms in 28 steps. On the other side, you have Transformers, Baroness in the turret behind Megatron's head as a robot. You have Megatron as a robot with Baroness, and you also have the G.I. Joe Transformer crossover symbol again. So that is really cool. Another Hasbro, old-fashioned Hasbro symbol too, if I might add. So anyway, that is basically the outer packaging of this awesome product, and what we will need to do now is actually take it apart. This box will open from the center, and when you open it from the center, you have this awesome cardboard box with a huge Hasbro label on it, and this is where our products will be. Alright, so you got this nice huge brown cardboard box. You have Hasbro there. On the top of this box, you have G.I. Joe, the crossover symbol, the Autobot symbol, 2022 Megatron H.I.S. tank. On this side of the box, you have nothing on this side of the box. On the bottom of the box, you have the same as the top with the G.I. Joe crossover Autobot symbol. And on the back of the box, you have an awesome top secret folder from Cobra, and they give a little information. So let us zoom in. You could pause the video, read that to your heart's content, but we must be moving on and see what's actually in this box. And here you have everything out of the box, and that includes a nice set of instructions for Megatron, and able to turn him to a H.I.S. tank and back into his robot form. Definitely will need those. You have the Baroness included in her packaging, and it looks to me like this is a little bit smaller than your normal G.I. Joe Retro reissued, but we'll take a look at that later. You have, obviously, Megatron. You have a couple guns for the H.I.S.S tank mode, and you have a huge H.I.S.S tank canopy, in which we'll go a little bit more into that with transformation. But since we have two figures, we're going to have to just take a look at one first, and I think we should take a look at the Baroness first. And starting with the Baroness first, you can see her in her exclusive packaging here, and they've gone really far into making it look like this was a regular release back in the day. You have your standard G.I. Joe logo up here, Cobra enemy. You have the Baroness in the plastic bubble with her accessories. You have the old-timey Hasbro label here, and this is really cool. Nice artwork on the front. On the back of the card, you have her tech specs, or secret file, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero at the top. And if we can scroll in, if you are interested, we can zoom in and you could read her information to your heart's content if you pause the video. But we must be moving onward and outward. So coming down, you have the same artwork that we saw on the box with Megatron in the H.I.S.S tank mode, Baroness, and the awesome crossover symbol. So that is really neat. Now, I said earlier this was kind of smaller than what I thought the originals were, so let me bring out a Cobra Commander figure, and this is something that I recently acquired, and you can see the packaging itself is pretty much the same size, and the deco is pretty much the same. But if you look at the figures themselves, I'm going to squeeze him in. Cobra Commander is quite larger than the Baroness. I'm not sure if this is how it's always been. I never had a Baroness when they initially came out, but I'm thinking maybe they reduced the figure size, maybe to save on money or something. But either way, I will take Cobra Commander out of the box, and we will take a look at him when we put Baroness in the tank as well. So we'll have at least two comparisons with G.I. Joes. All right, that is the packaging. Moving on. And here we have Baroness out of the package, and out of the package she stands approximately 3.75 inches tall, and she comes with a few accessories. She comes with this really nice rifle, which is just done in black, and has a nice mold to it. You got pretty much everything you need for a rifle: your scope, your barrel, your clips, your backstock. So yeah, it's pretty neat, and she could hold this really well. I'm trying to shoot at G.I. Joe or Transformers. Who knows what she's trying to shoot at? She's very mysterious. Baroness's next accessory is this black backpack, and it's really nicely done. It's just black plastic. You do have a nice Cobra molded into the back of it there, and it does have a little peg here which can peg into her back, and she could run around with that on her back, you know, with all of her Cobra secrets and goodies in there. And she comes with a small figure stand. It's just black. It has a peg for her foot so she can stand on it and look all, you know, stabilized. So that is really neat. Coming in real close to take a look at Baroness herself, she has a nice head of black hair. It's nicely molded, going straight down below her shoulders. I like that. Nice flesh tone for the face. Nice eyeglasses painted on there with some painted on pupils. That's okay. Nice molded nose. Bright red lips. I do appreciate that. That is really nice. Her costume is basically all molded in black. She does have the red Cobra symbol on her chest, which is really nicely done. Nice glossy paint for the figure. And you do have some molded detail in there with her belts and some molded in holster here with a weapon, her boots. Very nice. I like it. Very reminiscent of what the old G.I. Joes look like. Coming to the back, you do get a little bit of copyright material here on the back of the leg and actually on the buttocks there. I don't know if you can see that. If we can kind of focus it in, yeah, it's written there. And on the bottom of the figure, you do have peg holes So for articulation, her arm can go up. It can go all the way around 360 degrees. It is hinged. You can argue that you do have a bicep rotation here, coming down to the elbow bend, which is over 90 degrees. I like that. Oh, actually, look here. She has a nice Cobra design on her glove, so I didn't really notice that till just now. That's cool. She does have a forearm rotation such as that. She does not have a hand rotation, so that is okay, I guess. Coming down to the center of the body, she is kind of connected with these two, I don't know, bands. I don't want to say strings because they're like rubbery. And that's how your normal G.I. Joes used to be. And with that ability, she can kind of go around 360 degrees, but to a point, she'll snap back. She does have some nice wiggle waggle based on the motion of the rubber band. So that is cool. Her hips piece is a single piece. It can kind of move around, but not too much. You can see that the legs are sticking out of it. And speaking of legs, legs can go up really high, back not so far because you got the butt out of the way, out to the side a little bit. You can kind of twist them around 360 degrees if you were so inclined. And coming down, she does have a knee bend, which gives you about 90 degrees. I like that. That's pretty cool. And that's about it for her articulation. The head actually can move a little bit. You can't get it around 360 degrees, but it does get a little bit of wiggle waggle in it. So I think it's based on because of her hair and getting it around the shoulders. I don't want to try it. I don't want to pop her head off because that would just be mean. All right. And for a quick figure comparison, here you have Baroness with an original G.I. Joe. This is my original Sergeant Slaughter that came with his Trapper tee. And I don't know, she may be a little small depending on how they scaled the female characters with the males. You have Bionic 1 from the Bionic 6 back in the day. He was all die-cast, so they match up a little bit. Here's Darth Vader. He's a little taller. And obviously you have the Wonder Woman from the current Superpowers series. She's a little bigger, but, you know, she's Amazonian, so that might work. I'm not sure if that scale is accurate or not. And like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, here you have the newly released Cobra Commander, and he stands way taller than she is. Now, he may have been taller than her, but I think they went with a higher scale with this new figure because it does have a lot more articulation. And putting him next to Sergeant Slaughter here, yeah, he's still a monster. So anyway, those are your figure comparisons for the Baroness. Moving on. And that's pretty much all we can say about the Baroness. I do like her. She's a neat little figure. Brings back a lot of memories of the old G.I. Joes I used to play with. But from here on, we shall zoom out and move on to bigger and more maniacal things with Megatron. And taking a look at Megatron out of the box, he stands a little over 10 inches tall, maybe 10 and a quarter, and he comes with a couple pieces because he is somewhat of a parts former. He comes with this nice piece which acts as the back of the H.I.S. tank and a shield we'll look at later. He comes with the H.I.S. tank canopy with the guns attached to it. Again, we will take a look at that later. Special note about this though is that in the instructions they kind of want you to have it on him the entire time, but I think it really makes him look silly, so I think I will just hold off on putting this on him until we go to transform. And he comes with his fusion cannon, which is awesome, and this is a really, really big boy. So let's take a really big closer look at him. And coming real close in on Megatron, you can see they went really, really G1 with this guy. I love this head sculpt. He has his classic helmet look with some black eyebrows coming up from the bottom, beautiful red eyes, and a very menacing facial expression right there. Very stoic and solemn and almost very, like, menacing. I love it. The helmet does go all the way around to the back, and that is really cool. You do see a little hollowness in the back, and that's kind of one of the bad parts about this figure, but we'll get to that when we get a full view of the figure. But anyway, coming back to the front, wow, I really love that head sculpt. It is so classic Megatron. All right, let's zoom out a little bit so we can get the shoulders and the chest into the shot. So the shoulders are huge. They do have a lot of kibble on them that turn into the H.I.S. tank, so I guess that really couldn't be helped. You do have these neat little red things on top of his shoulders. I like the color breakup. Coming down to his boxy chest, you do have the nice Decepticon symbol here, and the classic Megatron colors, red, blue, and some yellow down here. The shoulders are a nice black. You can actually move this piece out of the way, and you have some full light gray arms, and then coming down to the black hands, which are really nice. Same on this side. When you come back down to the chest, you do have that detail on the side, and on the sides you do have some classic red, which is how Megatron is supposed to look. Let us zoom out some more, get a little more of him in the screen. So on the side hips, you have some missile launchers, which is really nice. They are done in red and some gray. That is cool. The pelvis is all done in black. You have some light gray for the upper legs, and then the lower legs you have the dark gray, and then the feet are done in the light gray again. You do have some tank treads here on the sides. He is a big, beefy fellow. Again, until you kind of turn him around, and on the back, you basically see that he is all hollow. Okay, so you got some big hollow parts up here, the shoulders. The back is hollow. The back of the arms are hollow. Feet are hollow. But that is okay, because you got to put the Baroness somewhere, okay? And he's going to be a tank, so that is really cool. And that is what your H.I.S. tank Megatron is going to look like. Moving on. And for our articulation, starting at the head can go around 360 degrees. It can wiggle and waggle left and right. It can kind of move down a little bit, and it can kind of move up a little bit, but not too much. Coming to the shoulders, shoulders are kind of cumbersome. Like I said, these tank parts kind of get in the way, but you can still go 360 degrees with the shoulder, and it can come up from the body a little ways. In fact, you can move the tank part, if we can get that up in the screen, you can move the tank part up, and that will kind of give you a little more motion with the shoulder, especially when you can come up from the body. And if you unhook this particular joint, you can actually get further up, so that is interesting if you want to do that. There is not a bicep rotation. You do have a forearm rotation though, goes 360 degrees, and then you have your elbow bend, which is right there, gives you a little more than 90 degrees, so that is good. There is no hand articulation. This is one solid piece, and it's just painted black right here at the fist, so that's okay. Coming to the middle of the butt, you do not have any waist articulation. It does not go left to right, up or down. If you want to use the old trick of using the leg joints, you can kind of push him down, and you can claim that that's your ab crunch, but that's really not what that is. So we will put that back down. The side missile launcher things can move. You can kind of bring them up to the side like that, or you can bring them up like that if you want to kind of hide them, conceal them, give them a more of a tank look, but side look like that. But that looks silly. I think I like the missiles facing you. Anyway, coming back down, the legs up a little ways, back a little ways, which is really good, and out to the side. So that's good articulation with the legs. Thigh rotation, not 360 degrees, but you do get a little bit if you want to call that your thigh rotation. Knee bend is there, so you get a lot over 90 degrees, almost all the way. I think that's due to transformation. Coming back down, you have a little bit of foot articulation. It can go up and down, but there is no rocker, and that's basically just for transformation. And that's pretty much going to be Megatron's articulation. Not a lot, but pretty much enough to do whatever you need him to do with while you're in this. Now, when you attach the his tank canopy, there's going to be a little less mobility because it's going to basically cover up most of his back. All right, moving on. And full comparison, here you have the H.I.S. tank Megatron with the current sized leader class Megatron Netflix and Earthrise Optimus Prime. So as you can see, the Earthrise wouldn't do much against Megatron here. However, the powers of the Primes, evolutionary Optimus Prime, I think would be a pretty equal match. So that is where you would want to pit this Megatron against Prime. Though, you know, Megatron is still going to be a little bit bigger, which, you know, I think Megatron should always be bigger than Prime. Kind of make Prime the underdog. So, yeah, that is going to be some cool comparisons and skill. All right, moving on. And for the first of Megatron's accessories, he comes with this nice H.I.S. tank plate, and basically this is just the back cover of the H.I.S. tank, but because it's parts forming, they wanted to do something with it. So what you could do with this is attach it by this little tab into Megatron's fist, and that will create kind of like a little shield looking thing. I think it's ridiculous. I will never use it, but for completeness in the review, that is what this part is for, and it's nice. It's black. It's got the nice Cobra symbol there, and you have some foot pegs for Baroness if she wants to stand on it while it's in tank mode. So that is really cool and neat, I suppose. Moving on. And coming to the only accessory Megatron ever really needs, he does have his fusion cannon. Now, it's basically black plastic. It's hollow. There's not a lot to it. It's very light. You can tab it into his fist right here. I would have wished that it would have gone a little higher up on his arm, but due to the shoulder kibble, it can't go any higher than what it is, and it still looks okay, I guess, if you want to put it where his usual fusion cannon is. So yeah, it's good. I'm glad he has it, and it can actually work in tank mode too. You can attach it to the top of the turrets above the two guns, but that looks silly, and Baroness is like, I can't see anything. So I'm never going to do that, but what I may do is, it has also been suggested that the fusion cannon can be stored behind the tank right in front of Megatron's chest using the tow hitch kind of to clamp it into place, and that may be a more practical option when you're thinking about trying to store your fusion cannon. Alright, moving on. Now, when it comes to the H.I.S. tank canopy, what you're going to do is you're going to take it and turn it around to the back. And on the back, you will see these two little tabs here and here. And then you will bring out Megatron, put him in his Super Saiyan mode. Ha-ha! Super Megatron! Fly around. Oh, okay, all right. Back to as I were. Anyway, on the back of the Megatron figure, up here you'll see a bar and some indentions for two tabs. So basically, all you'll need to do is move your canopy and try to just line it up with these two tabs, and it will eventually get in there and be set. There you go. And as you can see, or you can't see, let's scroll up a little bit, it kind of is a very awkward piece when it's attached. But that's really what you need to do. And unless you just want to take it off every time that he's in robot mode, then this is kind of what you're going to be dealing with. Actually, we can put the wings back in like this. There's actually not wings, but tank treads, but they look like wings. And there you go with Megatron, how he's supposed to look with the huge thing on his back. You can also put down the canopy glass right here. There's a little hinge right there, and move the turret gun around. It will go around 360 degrees and just clears his head. So that is pretty neat. All right, and while we have it like this, if you want to bring out your Baroness figure, we can throw her in here, and she could be manning the turret guns. She looks all right in there. So yeah, and that's cool. And if we really want, we can actually put the Cobra Commander in there. Let's see how he looks. Destroy them! Actually, I think he looks a little better because he sets up higher. But that is just my opinion. You are more than welcome to put whichever figure you want in. But I think Cobra Commander works good. Alright, moving on. And full transformation. Now this isn't a very hard transformation, but it is kind of cumbersome at certain points, and most of the time your canopy section back here is going to fall off. So if that happens, don't worry about it. Alright, so first off, what I want to do is start with the shoulders. We're going to kind of give him his wings back again, move the 788 section out and move it just a little bit further, because you were going to bring this lever down, and that's going to connect to the two and basically secure this piece so it doesn't fold back in on itself. Do it the same on this side too. Bring that down, bring this little lever down to the bottom, and then connect it back like such. Alright, so that is good. Now we need to take the canopy apart from the back, make sure it's not connected. Go ahead and bring it up from this secondary hinge up here like such. So now it's just going to be sticking out like that. That's where we need that. All right, come down to the back of the figure, fold in the heels like such. Don't worry about the feet because they have a purpose for later. All right, at this point we are going to pull the shoulders out from the chest part right here, just up like so. Get them out of the way. On the other side as well, get that out of the way, and your little canopy is about to fall over, so that's all right. Now from here, what we want to do, let me zoom out, make sure we're getting a lot of light. From here, what we want to do is bring his chest out. So pull this up. This is going to act as a tow hitch in vehicle mode, but it also gives you a nice little thumb hold to put your fingers right here at his, beside his head, and pull this part out so that you can get it to accordion out like such. And that is going to make our lives a little bit easier. These hands and arms are just flopping everywhere. Alright, when that's done, bring up the missile silos from the side of his body, like that. And now what we're going to do is basically put Megatron on his knees, as it were. We're going to bring the knees up. But if you look at the bottom of his midsection, he has two ports right here. And if you look on the inside of his knees or legs, he has ports that are going to fit into there. So the best way they've suggested to do this is to bring the legs up 2 clicks. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then fold the knee in on itself. So coming back to the back, and there's no rush, so bring this around, and here again is your tab that will port into there. So take your time, get it in there nice and tight. All right, there's one, and then we'll go on the other side and move this leg around. They're very tight. Could be a tolerance issue, or it just could be because it's new. So make sure, take your time, get it into place, and then there you go. All right, once those two are done, we are going to bring Megatron's torso straight down. So now see that he's on his knees. Let me put him like this for a second and bring the camera down so that we can see what's going on. All right, maybe get some more light set up here. All right, so from here we are going to move his abdomen right here straight down. So it will hinge straight down like such. There we go. All right, so now we got a weird looking mess. So on this side, what we are going to do now, continue bringing Megatron's, oh, there went the canopy. Well, we knew it was going to go eventually. So anyway, from here, actually go ahead, you can break these arms out from the side to get them out of the way, because they're going to go towards the front here, because this is now the back of the H.I.S. tank. So bring Megatron down and work on these missile launchers, because these missile launchers are going to be the back part of the tank tread. So they will turn around, and then you have 3 tabs, 1, 2, and a tab on the side of Megatron's chest here that will all need to be tabbed into place. So if you want to, you start with the back tabs there once, and then you can line Megatron up and to that tab. There's one side done. Do the same on the other side. Turn the missiles on to the inside. Find your tabs. Tab, tab. And then tab into the side of Megatron's chest to secure it in place. There you go. All right. So those are going to be your tank treads finished. And Megatron looking all, hey, what's going on there? All right. So now what we are going to do is come back around to this side and work on the front of the H.I.S. tank. So you can see here are the feet, and there are these nice big cavities, which is where the arms are going to go. So fold one of your arms back into the slot, and then it's going to hinge here and connect into this part, which will leave the arm just hanging out there. So what the arm is going to do is you can twist it, and then to where you have the main black part here at the top, and then it's going to fold down where you can fold the forearm back to where you see the big hollow spot, and it's going to fold nicely into this cavity where the foot is. Yeah, it'll fold right down in there. Okay, bring your other one around, twist it up around. Okay, bring the forearm around to where you have the hollowness, and that will fold back and into that little spot above the foot. Okay. There you go. Might have to do some pushing, but once you get it in there, make sure it's straight on both sides, and then you can fold the foot up to secure the arms. So that's actually pretty clever. All right, connect the 2 pieces of the front of the H.I.S. tank here, and then just fold it down like such. All right, and that's pretty much it. Back, sometimes it may fall apart, so just go back and redo your treads if you need to. All right, so now we got that done. All we have to do is bring this canopy part back and rehinge it where it's supposed to go. Now, it's usually not that hard. It's just it won't stay in place because it's kind of loose, and the hinges kind of just fall away. But once you get it back into place, just form fit the canopy over it, because there is a little bit of a clearance issue, but it will eventually fall right into spot. Close your canopy up, and then you are good to go with that, and that looks really nice. Now, the final thing that you need to do with this thing is when you come around to the back, we can't just have Megatron hanging out there. Why not? Because you freak people out. That's why. So bring in Megatron's shield, and it will be a perfect cover. It will tab into place right above his head. And there you have your finished H.I.S.S tank in all its glory. So yeah, that is pretty cool. I think they did a really cool job with the H.I.S.S tank. So let me get it straightened out and we'll take a look at it. And here we have Megatron as a H.I.S.S tank, and it's really, really nice. From the top of the H.I.S.S tank to the bottom of the back tread, he measures approximately 9.5 inches long, and that's pretty cool. So take a look at it. It's done really nice. You can definitely tell it's a H.I.S.S tank. I think it is actually the better mode compared to the two, in that when they designed this whole collab, they were thinking, okay, let's do really good with the H.I.S.S tank, and let's just put something out that makes him look like Megatron, which I don't think the Megatron is bad either, but comparatively, I think, again, the H.I.S.S tank is the better mode. So it's basically all black. You do get a little bit of detail here on the front, so that is neat. A little bit of silver there. Coming to the top, you got the canopy. It does open. You can put a figure in there. If we move the turret gun just a little bit, we can get this open and look inside. So you do see a little bit of controls and a place where your figure can sit and steer if you're so inclined to do that. So that is kind of neat. Bring that down. Coming back to the side, you have the 788 there, and some decals right here at the bottom. Nothing too it doesn't like say anything. It's just like a little image. Coming to the side, you do get 363 here. I'm not sure the significance of that. Some nice treads. Another decal here on the tread. Let's go down there. Basically, it's just a big V, and it says HS13KM62153PN15R. Guess some sort of serial number. Moving on to the back panel, you do have GH7C. Again, not sure what that is about. Have a nice Cobra logo at the top back right, and that is awesome. Coming to the back of the tank, this is where we covered poor Megatron up with this panel or his shield. You got another Cobra symbol. You have the peg holes, so you could have a Cobra hanging out there, or maybe a G.I. Joe trying to sneak up on Cobra. I can see Sarge trying to get up there that way, so that is really neat. On the bottom, you can kind of see Megatron's chest plate sticking out there and the tow hitch, which is pretty nice, I guess. Coming to the other side, you have the same decals and logos that you had on the others side. The bottom, not much kibble there to make you indicate that it is a robot, so I like that. And at the top, you just basically have your turret back here at the back, and it does go 360 degrees around like we saw before, and you could have a figure sitting in there manning the gun. Now the H.I.S.S tank does have wheels on the bottom. You got 4 wheels here, 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 and here, but they don't really do it much justice. It doesn't really roll that well, but it's good for looks, I guess. Alright, and that is what your H.I.S.S tank's going to look like and a bit of its functionality. Moving on. And for comparison, here you have him with the Earthrise Megatron and the Earthrise Thundercracker. I thought I'd put Thundercracker in there because blue Cobra, you know, makes a nice contrast. So as you can see, the H.I.S.S tank is fairly large, and Megatron tank isn't really going to stand up to it that much, even though Megatron tank is supposed to be really cool. And then if we move him out, we can bring in Thundercracker, and the jet size, you know, obviously going to be, you know, supposed to be bigger, but I don't know. It could be good to scale, I think. What do you guys think? Let me know. All right, that is going to be your comparisons. Moving on. And this has been the Hasbro crossover of Transformers and G.I. Joe, featuring the Baroness and Megatron as a H.I.S.S tank which I think they executed really well. And I think this was a cool idea. I think Megatron works really well as a H.I.S.S tank. They did hide a majority of his colors really well. Of course, it's more of a parts former, but certain things you're just going to have to deal with if you want to get the kind of look. I think the Megatron mold itself looks really good. They did capture that G1 essence and give him a little more intimidation with the huge shoulders. I like that you could actually use them as wings if you're so inclined. I think that's a cool look. If you get this figure, save yourself some time and trouble. Just don't worry about keeping that canopy on except when you put him in tank mode, because it would definitely make your life easier. Gets in the way, it's very clunky and cumbersome, and you don't really need it except when he's in his tank mode. So that's just my advice to you. Baroness, take her or leave her. I think Cobra Commander would have been a better choice, but whatever. I don't have a lot of G.I. Joes, especially Cobras, so I'll add her to my collection. She looks nice and really neat. I like these little crossovers. There was another one they put out with Bumblebee and Stalker, I think, where Bumblebee transformed into a little Doom Buggy. Everybody on the internet was saying that they should have used Hound. That could have been okay. Technically, Beachcomber was your Doom Buggy, but he was a pacifist, so he really wouldn't have worked out well. So Hound would have been my first choice, and Bumblebee, I don't think I would have ever considered him. So yeah, this was a fun set. Really enjoyed playing with it. If you are looking for it, you can find these guys online. They range anywhere between $75 to $90, depending on where you pick them up. I've had this in my collection for a while now. It wasn't until I watched Rise of the Beast that I decided, you know what, I think I want to do that G.I. Joe Transformer crossover toy that I had. Because I thought, hey, that would be a cool little time to do that for certain reasons. Well guys, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, keep playing.
Such a road nonsense.